Jayamanam hi purusham yam pashyet madhusudanaha Satvikas satu vigneyaha savai mokshartha chintakaha. This Puranic verse says that when a child is born, if it is blessed by Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, then only such a child will be of sattvic nature and will be interested to know more and more about Bhagavan and Mukti. According to this verse, we all must also be blessed by Bhagavan. Since we are on this path of spiritual inquiry and we wish to know more and more about Bhagavan and Mukti, we too at the time of our birth must have been blessed by Bhagavan to some extent. However, we are now 30 or 40 or 50 or even 80 years old. For some people, that blessing or anugraha that Bhagavan bestows attains fruition in a very short period of time. This week, in the 2 episodes of Practice What the Puranas Preach, we are going to learn about the story of a child, Dhruva, who through penance beheld Bhagavan himself and later on, after facing many hardships in his life, finally attained salvation. You all might have heard of the story of Dhruva, but when you look at it in detail, there are many gems of shlokas in the Puranas. This is spoken about in Bhagavata Purana in detail. So in these 2 episodes, we will see how Dhruva, how he was insulted by something that happened in his family and went on to do penance towards Bhagavan and finally beheld him. First, we must know who Dhruva is. Dhruva was the son of Uttanapada. Uttanapada was the son of Swayambhuva Manu. We all know that there are 14 Manus who rule over the 1000 Chaturyuga period. Brahma, the 4-faced god Brahma, has a daytime which is equal to 1000 Chaturyugas. These 1000 Chaturyugas are ruled over by 14 Manus. Out of them, the first Manu was called Swayambhuva Manu. Today, this time is the age of Vaivasvata Manu, who is the 7th Manu. Before this Vaivasvata Manu, there have been 6 Manus, the first of whom was Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu was created by Brahma himself by his thought, mere thought. Then Swayambhuva Manu gave birth to Uttanapada. He was married to Shatarupa. Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa together gave birth to Uttanapada. There were other sons and daughters also, but now we need to know about Uttanapada alone. That Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suruchi and Suniti. Suruchi gave birth to the boy Uttama, who later on became a very great king. But the other wife was Suniti. Suniti had a child whose name was Dhruva. So Uttanapada, his elder wife had a child named Uttama, and his second wife Suniti had a son named Dhruva. This story that we are going to see is about this family. Dhruva was very attached to his father and wanted to play with his father. One day, he saw his brother Uttama sitting on his father's lap and playing with his father, who was Uttanapada. Dhruva also wanted to play like this with his father. He tried to climb on top of Uttanapada's lap, but Uttanapada stopped him. He did not allow his own child to play on his lap. That was because Uttanapada was partial towards his first wife Suruchi and her son Uttama. He did not like Suniti very much, and therefore Suniti's son Dhruva was not liked by him very much. He was not affectionate to Dhruva, so he stopped Dhruva from climbing on top of his lap. In addition to that, the first wife Suruchi, who was Uttama's son, came towards Dhruva and said, "You are not born in my belly. Only if you are born in my uterus can you be the king of this land, and only if you are born from me can you play on the king's lap. Navatsan ripatehe dhishnyam bhavan arodum arhati tapasaradhya purusham tassiva anugrahena me garbhetvam sadhayatmanam yedichhasi nripasanam." Suruchi is telling, she is admonishing Dhruva and says, "You are not blessed enough to climb on this royal throne. You are not blessed to play on your father's lap. That is because you are born as Suniti's son, not my son. Only my son can ascend the throne and only he can play on his father's lap. So if you want to play on your father's lap, or if you want to become the king of this realm, then you have only one way. Go pray to Lord Sriman Narayana and somehow get a boon that you can be born in my belly. Tasaiva anugrahena me garbham tvam sadhaya atmanam. Somehow enter into my belly as a fetus. Then if you are born as my child, you will be able to ascend the throne. Without that blessing, it is not possible for you to play on your father's lap. The father had already stopped Dhruva from climbing. The other mother, the father's elder wife, has also scolded Dhruva, saying, you are not worthy of climbing on your father's lap also. Dhruva was very perturbed. He immediately ran crying to his mother and narrated all that had happened with his father. His mother was somehow, she had to calm him down somehow. She knew that what was being done was not just. But however, she gave a very good instruction to Dhruva. Ma amangalam tata pareshu mamsthaha bhunkte jano yat paradukkadastat. She says, it is okay, be calm, do not think anything inauspicious towards those who have wronged you. Ma amangalam pareshu mamstha. Pareshu, towards others, do not bear any ill feelings. Do not think anything inauspicious to even your enemies, because yat paradukkadastat. Something that is going to affect others is definitely going to affect you also. So any jealousy or anger or scorn that you have towards others is going to affect you also. It is going to steer you away from a sattvic mentality. It is going to make you rajasic or tamasic even. So she says, Dhruva was a 5-year-old child, but the mother saw this as a very good opportunity to teach a good lesson to her son. And so she says, even if someone wrongs you, do not bear any ill feelings. And in fact, what Suruchi has said is nothing wrong. The king likes her more than me. So Uttama is more affectionate, or the king is more affectionate to Uttama than to you. Therefore, what Suruchi said was very much correct. You can please go and do penance towards Sriman Narayana. Nanyam tataf padma palasha lochanat dukkachidam te mrigayami kaschana. O son, there is only one person who can remove your sorrow, that is Sriman Narayana. Padma palasha lochanat. She said, Bhagavan, the one with a lotus-like eyes, is the one who can alleviate your pain. So please go and do penance towards him or meditate upon him. Hearing these words from his mother, Dhruva was, we call it Rosham. He was very angry and he felt he had been wronged. And so he wanted to achieve a status that was even greater than what Uttanapada or Uttama could achieve. He wanted to be not the king of that realm alone, but the king of the whole world and the universe. This is what the boy wanted. He was a small boy. He did not know about mukti or dharma, artha, kama, moksha, etc. His mother, Suruchi, said, you are not worthy to become the king of this realm. So that boy, out of anger, wanted to be more wealthy than anybody amongst his ancestors. He wanted to be a greater king than his own father. He went off to the forest. Once sage Narada learnt about what Dhruva was about to do, Narada approached Dhruva. He wanted to test Dhruva and then aid him. Usually Narada is thought of as someone who causes confusion or who causes quarrels among people. It is not so. Through confusion, Narada leads a person to clarity and to salvation itself. The word Narada itself means one who grants jnanam and one who quells ajnanam or ignorance. So Narada came to Dhruva. He kept his hand on Dhruva's head and started speaking. Vikalpe vidyamanepi na hyasantosha hetavaha gunadhikan mudham lipset anukrosham gunadhamat maitrim samanad anvichet na tapaihi abhibhuyate. First, he gave some normal laukika advice to Dhruva. He said, this world is filled with causes for sorrow, but a good person, a noble soul is one who is able to remain unperturbed even when he is put through hardships. He says, Vikalpe vidyamanepi na hyasantosha hetavaha. Even if something goes against you, it is not to your liking, do not lose your calmness. Do not lose your composure. You must always be happy with what you have. Even if something goes against your wishes, do not be bothered by it. Then Dhruva asked, there are people who do something against me. What should I think about them? Narada says, when someone is higher than you, they are superior to you, look at them and be happy. Even amongst bhaktas, this is a very important thing. We might think that we are a very great bhakta. One day I went to the temple, I bought fruits for say 100 rupees. Someone there had bought fruits for 1,000 rupees and was offering to Bhagavan. Immediately we become jealous. Just because they bought for 1,000 rupees doesn't mean they are a greater devotee than me. They must want something back from Bhagavan. That is why they are buying for 100. A normal devotee who expects nothing from Bhagavan will buy for 100 only, that I am content with that. So out of our jealousy, we will put down the other person who seems to be superior to us, superior than us, in order to feel good. But Narada says, do not do so. When someone is really superior to you, be happy about it. Be happy that there is a bhakta who can do more service to Bhagavan than you. Do not be jealous of them. You must go to them, get their advice and somehow try to become a great bhakta like them. But do not be jealous at all. Be happy when you see someone superior to you. Similarly, when we see someone inferior than us, what would we think? When I say inferior, it might be in wealth, it might be in something knowledge also, or it might be in achara or conduct also. In any of these things, when we look at someone inferior to us, we must not think that they are downtrodden. We must not think that they are unworthy to live, because till yesterday or till 5 years back or 10 years back, I was also not a great bhakta. I did not have knowledge about Brahman. I did not have any good achara also. Due to Bhagavan's benevolence and the Upadesha of an Acharya, we could have become a Bhakta today. When a Bhakta looks at a non-devotee, he must not look down upon him. We must not say, oh, he is not even a Bhakta. I am a Bhakta of Bhagavan. Being a Bhakta can be a cause of pride, but it cannot be the factor to put someone else down. I was not a Bhakta in my previous birth. If I had been a Bhakta, I would have attained Mukti. I am in this samsara still because I was not a Bhakta till 50 years before. That person is not a Bhakta today. In another 5 years or even in the next 5 minutes, he could become a very great Bhakta. So it is of no use to compare ourselves with someone inferior to us and think we are superior. Narada says, then Anukrosham Gunadhamat, when someone is inferior to you in qualities, in their attributes, Anukrosha, be pitiful or be compassionate towards them, never be scornful to them. That is how you treat your inferiors. When someone is equal to you, then you must want their friendship. Maitrim samanat anvichet na tapaihi abhibhuyate. So to superiors, feel happy. To inferiors, feel compassionate. To equals, you must want their friendship. If you follow this mantra, Narada says, nothing that happens in this world can perturb you or agitate you. So he is trying to dissuade Dhruva from doing penance towards Bhagavan. That is not because he doesn't want Dhruva to attain greatness. That is because he wants to test Dhruva, whether he is ready for what he must do later on. Penance to please Bhagavan is not a simple task. It requires very great efforts. So Narada wanted to test Dhruva's conviction. Once Narada said all this, Dhruva said, all you say is okay, but I am not in a state of mind right now to be compassionate towards others or be happy for others. I am very angry. My swabhava as a kshatriya is to win over anybody who insults me. So now, if you can, please tell me some way by which I can do penance or meditation upon Bhagavan and behold him and get some boons from him. So Narada knew now that Dhruva was very compassionate towards it, and he was very much interested in doing penance about Bhagavan. So Narada started to preach to Dhruva how to do penance, where you must do it, how you must sit down, how you must close your eyes, how you must keep your back and everything. He also preached the Vasudeva mantra to Dhruva. dharmartha kama mokshakhyam ya ichet shreya atmanah ekameva harestatra karanam padasevanam. He says to Dhruva, whether it is dharma, artha, kama or moksha, the only way to attain any of these four purusharthas is to do service to the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. So Dhruva, you too must do penance towards Bhagavan, but do not do from here. Narada sent Dhruva to a very far off place. Tattata gaccha bhadramte yamunayas tate shuchi punyam madhuvanam yatra sannidhyam nityadha harehe. Narada is sending Dhruva to a place called Madhuvanam. Madhuvanam was a forest. What we call as Mathura today in Uttar Pradesh was earlier just a forest. It was not inhabited. So Madhuvanam tattata gaccha bhadramte yamunayas tate shuchi. On the banks of the cool and auspicious pious river Yamuna, there is a very sacred place called Madhuvanam where Bhagavan is always in connection. Narada says Sannidhyam Nityada Harehe. In Krita Yuga also, when Bhagavan took birth as on avatar as Vamana, he came to this Madhuvanam and did penance here. In Treta Yuga, when Bhagavan was born as Rama, his last brother Shatrughna was sent to this Madhuvanam to kill an asura and establish the city that we call Mathura today. The city was established in Treta Yuga, not in Krita Yuga. Here, the story of Dhruva is taking place in Krita Yuga. So, right now it is just a forest. Punyam Madhuvanam yatra sannidhyam nityada harehe. So, Dhruva was instructed by Narada to go to Madhuvana, or what we call Mathura today, the Vraja Bhumi of Uttar Pradesh today. And once he went there, Dhruva started doing penance. Bhagavata Purana describes how he slowly and one by one, step by step, reduced his food intake. For the first 1 month fully, every third day, Dhruva used to eat fruits alone. First day he doesn't eat anything, second day nothing, third day fruits, fourth day nothing, fifth day nothing, sixth day fruits. He used to eat like this. In the second month, once every 6 days, he started eating nuts and roots alone. In the third month, once every 9 days, he drank water alone. In the fourth month, once every 12 days, he used to take the energy that he required from wind itself, from the air or vayu around him. He didn't eat anything. Vayu bhakshaha. He used to breathe in air, and from that air he was capable of taking all the essential energy that was required from his body to sustain his body and do penance. In the 5th month, he stopped taking any food at all. In the 6th month, finally, he was ready to behold Brahman, to behold Paramatma Sriman Narayana. But by that time, the whole world was being agitated by his penance. All the devas who were there in Swarga started to run towards Bhagavan and pled to him that the earth is trembling and we are not able to breathe at all. We don't understand what is happening. Oh Lord, you must help us. This is what the devas pled. Bhagavan answered them, don't worry. Adharam mahadadinam pradhana purusheshwaram brahma dharayamanasya Trayo lokas chakampire ma bhaishta balam tapaso duratyayat nivartayishye pratiyamas swadhama. Narayana answered the devas, don't worry, I can understand why the earth is trembling, because Bhagavan is the one who bears this whole universe. But now Dhruva is bearing Bhagavan in his manas and Dhruva is standing on the earth. So the earth is not able to bear the weight of Dhruva because Dhruva is bearing the whole, the great Paramatma in his heart. That is why the earth is trembling. Similarly, when Dhruva inhales and stops breathing, the whole world is feeling suffocated because the Vayu that went in and out of Dhruva has been stopped now by him. So the suffocation and the trembling of the earth was all because of Dhruva's penance. Bhagavan says, don't worry, I will stop Dhruva's penance immediately. You can all go back to Swarga. Saying thus, Bhagavan came to Vadhuvana, appeared in front of Dhruva and gave his divine darshan to Dhruva. But Dhruva didn't even open his eyes. Since he was doing meditation, he was able to behold Paramatma who was residing in his heart. Bhagavan is called Antaryami. About the Antaryami, the Upanishad says, Angushthamatraf Purushaha Madhya Atmani Tishtasi. Bhagavan, taking a form that is as big as our thumb, is residing within our hearts. When someone does yoga, there are great sages like Patanjali or even Vyasa, Parashara, etc. They were able to do dhyana or yoga. When they do this dhyanam, they are not concentrating upon the divine form of Bhagavan which is in Vaikuntham. They are concentrating upon the form which is existing within them itself. We are not able to behold that form or concentrate on that form because we are not used to it. Once we start meditating regularly, we too will be able to realize or see Brahman who is residing within us. So Dhruva was happy looking at Paramatma who was residing within, that he didn't even open his eyes and look at Brahman who had come in front of him. So what Bhagavan did was, he immediately removed the image that was residing within Dhruva's heart. He says, Savai Dhiya Yoga Vipaka Tivraya Hrit Padmakoshe Spuritam Tatit Prabham. Hrit Padmakosha, within the Hridaya, Bhagavan was existing with all his magnificence. Dhruva was concentrating on that Bhagavan. Tirohitam Sahasaiva Upalakshya Bahisthitam Tadavastham Dadarsha. Tirohitam, Bhagavan immediately closed, or he immediately removed that image from Dhruva's heart. Dhruva didn't know what to do. He immediately opened his eyes, and to his amazement and to his pleasing, he was able to behold Bhagavan with his eyes itself. Till now he was only concentrating or seeing Bhagavan through his mind. Now he was able to visually look at Bhagavan. He was very happy. He wanted to praise Bhagavan by singing many shlokas about him. But Dhruva was just 5 years old. He didn't know how to make it, how to write any shlokas or praise someone. So he wanted to say a lot, but he didn't know how to say it. So Paramatma immediately took his left hand. He has his Panchajanya, the conch shell in his left hand. Using that Panchajanyam, he slowly touched Dhruva's cheeks. Once that Panchajanyam was touching Dhruva's cheeks, Dhruva immediately got all knowledge. Not knowledge about how this world functions, about spiritual knowledge about Paramatma, about Jivatma, about the samsara, about mukti, and anything and everything. Dhruva immediately got very knowledgeable. Satam vivakshantam atadvidam harihi jnatvasya sarvasya cha hridyavasthitaha. When he was touched by the conch shell, Dhruva became a great learned person and he started speaking. The first shloka that Dhruva uttered is a very famous one. Yontaf pravishya mamavacham imam prasuptam sanjeevayati akhila shaktidhara swadhamna anyanscha hasta charana shravana tvagadin pranannamo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Purushaya, O great Purusha, Parama Purusha, Lord Narayana, I pay my obeisances to you. I prostrate in front of you. You are the one who has entered me and kindled the speech within me. Yaha antaf pravishya mamavacham imam prasuptam sanjeevayati. My speech was dormant or lazy till now. Once Bhagavan entered me, now my speech has been kindled. I am able to talk well. My hands are functioning. My limbs are functioning. Anyanscha hasta charana shravana tvagadin. My skin, my ears, my hands, my feet, all of these are functioning only because Paramatma is residing within me as the Antaryami. Now I have learnt about this, I have realized this, and I prostrate towards you. There is a great passage in Bhagavata Purana called Dhruva Stuti, where Dhruva is praising Bhagavan. Bhagavan was pleased with his penance. So he says, you can ask me any boon that you want. Immediately Dhruva remembered his old story. He asked for a kingdom that was greater than what his father or even his grandfather had ruled. So Bhagavan immediately granted it. He said, you will rule this world for 36,000 years and then later on you will come to Vaikuntha and attain salvation. Ahobata mamanatmyam nanyai radhishtitam bhadra yad bhrajishnu dhruvakshiti tato gantasi matsthanam sarvaloka namaskritam. Like no one else before, you will rule this world, all this world for 36,000 years. Later on, you will come to my loka, which is Vaikuntham. This was the boon that Bhagavan gave Dhruva. Bhagavan immediately disappeared. Dhruva was happy that he had gotten what he wanted. He was coming back towards his own city to see his father. But on the way, he started thinking about what had just happened. He realized that the person Bhagavan whom he had beheld was capable of granting mukti itself. But what Dhruva had asked was just wealth. So Dhruva was very sad that even though he had beheld Brahman, he had beheld Paramatma, he did not have the sense to ask for mukti. He had just asked for material wealth. But Bhagavan's benevolence was such that even though Dhruva had asked only for wealth, material wealth, Bhagavan out of his compassion had granted the boon of attaining Sri Vaikuntham also. Ahobata mama anatmyam manda bhagyasya pashyata. He felt that he is very unfortunate. Manda bhagya. I am not a fortunate person because I have caught the feet of the great Paramatma who can give mukti itself. But what did I ask for? I asked for wealth in this world which is perishable. It is not going to be something sustained at all. Bhavachidaf padamulam gatva yache yad antavat. Bhagavan is Bhavachida. Bhavat is samsara. Chida is the one who cuts samsara. So I was able to grasp the feet of the one who removes samsara itself. But what did I ask for? Something perishable. Material wealth that is just perishable. So I must be a very unfortunate person. I did a very great mistake. But it is the benevolence or the compassion of Bhagavan that in addition to this material wealth, he has granted me the boon of mukti also. This is the story of Dhruva. This is the first part of the story. We have learnt about, this is a very popular story also. But after this, there is a very juicy part. There are many situations and instances in Dhruva's life which are even more juicy to us, because they tell about the hardships that even a devotee can face. When Dhruva was admonished by his mother or by his father, he was not a devotee. He faced hardships when he was not a devotee. Now he has become a great devotee of Bhagavan. He has beheld Paramatma directly. He has received the boon of attaining mukti also. But even then, as long as Dhruva was living in this samsara, he had to face some hardships. He had to overcome many obstacles. What they were and how he overcame them and how he finally attained mukti, we will learn about all these in the next part of this series.